This object has been in the primordial spirit for a long time. It will surely carry some of the thunder power. Swallowing the immortal sealing seal, Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He patted his storage pouch, and immediately, 3 purple pennants flew out. These pennants wrapped around each other, with flashes of restriction light appearing on them. Years ago, the Thunder Immortal Palace emissary had been sealed along with these 3 pennants by Wang Lin. Wang Lin formed a seal with his hands, pointed at the pennants, and immediately, the restrictions on them disappeared. As they vanished, the primordial spirit of the Thunder Immortal Palace emissary surged out with intense fear, and upon its appearance, it tried to instantly teleport away. A cold light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He slapped his storage pouch, and immediately, the soul banner flew out, transforming into a vast expanse of black mist that enveloped the area, swiftly devouring the primordial spirit of the Thunder Immortal Palace emissary. "Friend, please don't kill me. I'll trade my life for a treasure. A great treasure." The primordial spirit of the Thunder Immortal Palace emissary screamed in panic, struggling in the black mist as it begged for mercy. "What treasure?" Wang Lin's expression was cold as he spoke slowly. "The Luotian stone. I know where to find it. If you promise to spare me, I'll take you there immediately." The primordial spirit of the Thunder Immortal Palace emissary hastily replied. Wang Lin's expression betrayed no emotion. He glanced at the spirit and, with a motion of his right hand, formed another seal. Instantly, the black mist consumed the spirit and sealed it within the soul banner. The Luotian stone. Wang Lin pondered for a moment before letting the matter go. His gaze fell on the 3 pennants floating in midair. He raised his hand and grasped them from the air. With a breath, he released a wave of primordial spirit chi, erasing the spiritual imprint on the pennants and replacing it with his own. This is a rare protective magical artifact. After a while, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He raised his hand and threw the pennants into the air. As his mind stirred, the 3 pennants swiftly circled around his body, forming a purple mist vortex. The power radiating from it granted a certain level of protection. Wang Lin's primordial energy flowed out of his body and into the purple vortex. Instantly, the vortex's speed multiplied several times, and the mist became denser, rapidly spreading and enveloping Wang Lin completely. 3 breaths later, the mist dissipated. Wang Lin motioned with his hand, and the 3 pennants flew back into his grasp, returning to his storage pouch. "This treasure has considerable power." Wang Lin slapped his storage pouch, and 2 yellow paper talismans appeared in his hands. Even now, Wang Lin could not discern their function. After observing them for a moment, he stored them away. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with sharp focus. His expression became grave as his divine sense spread, covering a 10-mile radius. After confirming there were no signs of danger, he slapped his storage pouch. Golden light flickered, and immortal chi filled the air as a small pavilion, about the size of a palm, appeared in his hand. Staring at the object, Wang Lin's heart raced. Even now, he felt his pulse quicken, his gaze fixed on the pavilion. "If I were to say that my greatest gain in the Thunder Immortal realm is this object, it would be the treasure pavilion." Wang Lin licked his lips. Since obtaining it, he had been hesitant to take it out, as this treasure was simply too valuable. How many immortal arts are inside? Wang Lin's eyes revealed a flicker of excitement, though he quickly suppressed it. "With my current cultivation, I can only access the 4th level. Even though the white-robed female corpse reached the 9th level, she couldn't break the restrictions, so she couldn't retrieve any immortal arts inside. Moreover, this treasure is too precious, and it might even have limits on how many times one can enter. Since this place is not absolutely safe, I cannot study it carelessly." Suppressing his desire, Wang Lin took a deep breath and cautiously stored the treasure pavilion back into his storage pouch. However, after a brief hesitation, he took it out again, applying the sealing technique he had learned years ago, causing the pavilion to shrink continuously until it was no larger than a fingernail. He then took an empty storage pouch, placed the pavilion inside, and tore open his shirt to carve a wound on his chest. He buried the storage pouch inside, and his primordial energy quickly healed the wound. "Now, no one will know where the treasure pavilion is hidden." Wang Lin patted his chest with a smile. On his body, several storage pouches were nearly filled with immortal jade, accumulated over the course of his time in the Thunder Immortal realm. After nearly 2 months, Wang Lin had organized all his spoils from the Thunder Immortal realm. "It's time to leave." Wang Lin stood up, leaped into the air, and the mosquito beast flew toward him with a joyful howl, carrying him as it sped toward the distant buildings. The thunder frogs on the ground flicked their eyelids, leaping high into the air with a loud rumble, following the mosquito beast. As soon as Wang Lin approached the dwelling place of the chosen immortal clan, his expression tightened. He saw in the distance, in the midst of a large group of buildings, a spacious square where all the members of the chosen immortal clan were kneeling, even the children and women. In the center of the square was a wooden statue 3 zhang tall, and lying upon it was a person. It was Tom Mountain. Tom Mountain's complexion was ashen, his eyes dull, as if he could die at any moment. The surrounding air was thick with a deathly aura, clearly signaling that his life was hanging by a thread. Seeing this, Wang Lin fell silent. 2 months ago, he had already realized that Tom Mountain was nearing his end. The power of the slave sigil on Tom Mountain was incredibly strong. This slave sigil had been passed down through his bloodline, leaving no room for resistance. Tom Mountain could be said to be the first to rebel, but the price he paid was the backlash of the runic marks on his body, rendering him unable to survive any longer. He had lasted 2 months, but today was the end. He could no longer hold on. By Tom Mountain's side, an elder from the chosen immortal clan gazed at him with deep sorrow. Tears rolled down the old man's face as he muttered, "Grandson." He hadn't said those words in a long time. The surroundings were quiet, yet a heavy sadness filled the air. All the clan members looked at Tom Mountain in silence, their sorrow permeating the atmosphere. "Tom Mountain. Tom Mountain." Whispers came from the mouths of the clan members. Gradually, the voices merged into one, forming a single phrase, the voice of every member of the chosen immortal clan at this moment. Tom Mountain. In their hearts, Tom Mountain was the hero of the chosen immortal clan. When no one could resist the immortal slave sigil, only Tom Mountain, with his unyielding spirit, proved to all the clan members that the slave sigil could be resisted, although the cost of resistance was his life. Tom Mountain's mind was already hazy. His dim eyes stared up at the sky, and for a moment, it seemed like he was back in his childhood, listening to the clan members whispering in his ears. "Immortals are the masters of our clan. Every life of a chosen immortal clan member is to be dedicated to the immortals. This is our mission, and it is our pride. We are the immortals' messengers in this world. This is our glory." Tears welled up in the corner of Tom Mountain's eyes. He hated the injustice of the world, hated all immortals. Wang Lin descended from midair and stood at the edge of the square, silent. The elder looked at Tom Mountain with gritted teeth, then suddenly turned around, facing the surrounding clan members. With a voice weathered by time, he declared loudly, "Clansmen, Tom Mountain is right. For generations, we have protected this place, but what have we gained in return? Fog beasts. Those beasts that have killed many of our clan members. And all of this is caused by the immortals. In their eyes, we are nothing more than food to feed the fog beasts." The surroundings fell silent. All the clan members looked at the elder, their faces filled with a growing power, one that was brewing and accumulating. "Tom Mountain once told me that the immortals are no more. The immortal realm has already collapsed." The elder's eyes gleamed with a strange light, a look that was almost maddened. When these words left his lips, the entire clan was stunned. The revelation shocked them to their core, and the power within them rapidly surged. "Benefactor? Am I right?" The elder's gaze fell directly on Wang Lin, who was standing at the edge. In that instant, all eyes turned to Wang Lin, waiting for his answer. Ever since Wang Lin had killed that immortal 2 months ago, the elder had referred to him as benefactor. Wang Lin was silent for a moment, then nodded slowly, speaking softly, "The immortal realm has already collapsed, and the immortals are no more. Even if some remain, they are extremely rare. The immortal realm has collapsed, and the immortals treat our clan this way. Why should we not resist? Even if we die, we should die with dignity, like Tom Mountain." The elder cried out in a fervent rage. His voice, though weathered, carried a powerful force that pierced the soul. It struck every clan member, and as they raised their heads, their eyes gleamed with a defiant light, one of resistance to the end. They were determined to never again be slaves, to never again become food for the fog beasts. "Resist." One clan member clenched his fist and whispered. Behind him, more voices rose. "Resist. Resist." The voices built into a storm. Wang Lin stood silently, his gaze fixed on Tom Mountain. After a long while, he spoke softly, "I can prevent his death." Although his words were soft, they reached the ears of every chosen immortal clan member, especially the elder, who trembled. His eyes sparkled with excitement, and he rushed forward, stopping 10 zhang away from Wang Lin. He kneeled, tears streaming down his face, and stammered, "Benefactor, is this true?" Wang Lin paused for a moment before replying slowly, "There's a 50% chance. However, if my divine art succeeds, Tom Mountain may not die, but he will become a mindless puppet. Whether he can regain consciousness will depend on him. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged as he took a single step and appeared beside Muzuan. He gazed at Tashin, lying there with most of his bones shattered, already on the brink of death. There were no rune marks left on Tashin's body. All of them had now deeply embedded within him, becoming the fatal force that led him toward death. This divine art requires the one being refined to have a firm belief and a complete willingness, without a shred of hesitation. Otherwise, the technique will fail. Wang Lin said calmly. A bitter smile appeared on Tashin's lips as he weakly responded, "No need to say more. I am willing." Wang Lin said no more. He grabbed Tashin, and with a flicker of his body, stepped into the void, disappearing. From afar, as all the clansmen below gazed up, Wang Lin's voice echoed down to them. "Do not disturb us for the next 3 months." The elder stood frozen, watching where Wang Lin had vanished. A complicated look flashed in his eyes. After a moment, he clenched his teeth and turned toward the clansmen, speaking in a low voice. "After 3 months, regardless of Tashin's outcome, we must strike at the profound Yin Cauldron and leave here." With Tashin in tow, Wang Lin returned to the place where he had previously forged his magical artifact. He placed Tashin aside and exhaled a breath of primordial energy that enveloped his body. Then, with a gesture, he retrieved the soul banner from his storage pouch and gave it a shake, summoning an object. This object was another heavenly ghost that Wang Lin had obtained in the Thunder Immortal realm. As soon as it appeared, the heavenly ghost roared and struggled, but under Wang Lin's right hand, the Karma Kunji whip appeared and lashed out several times, making the heavenly ghost scream in pain. At the same time, Wang Lin's gaze flashed, and he took out another storage pouch. With a flick, numerous immortal jade stones appeared, filling the air. But he wasn't finished. After a moment's thought, he retrieved over a dozen skulls from the pouch. Each of these skulls bore complex runes flashing on their foreheads. These were the skulls of the ancestors from the Immortal Remnant clan that he had obtained on Vermilion Birdstar. Using the immortal jade's energy to nourish your body, the soul of the heavenly ghost to assist in forming your soul, and the skulls and ancestral runes of your clan's ancestors to enhance your rune power. Tashin, I am giving you an incredible opportunity. If this fails, it will be due to your own lack of fortune, not my fault. Wang Lin spoke calmly, gazing at Tashin, who was being refined by his primordial energy. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, a massive roar echoed across the plain where Wang Lin was located. The sound was so immense that even the members of the chosen immortal clan within the buildings could clearly perceive it and quickly flew out. The first to arrive was the elder. His face looked haggard, as though these 2 months had aged him by years, leaving him even more frail. On the plain, dust flew up, and a massive figure, over 2 meters tall, slowly stepped forward. Each of his footsteps caused the ground to tremble, reverberating like the sound of thunder. This man had coarse brows and eyes, and his entire body radiated golden light. He looked like a giant. There were no rune marks on his body, but in the middle of his forehead, there was an extremely complex rune that, even with a single glance, could leave one dizzy. The complexity of the rune surpassed imagination. The giant's eyes contained a divine spark, and with each step, the dust parted. Behind the giant, Wang Lin's figure slowly emerged, his face carrying a hint of weariness. He looked at the giant's back, and a trace of regret appeared in his eyes. Such a pity. In the end, he can only reach the peak of yang fulfillment and will never break through to glimpse of nirvana. Wang Lin moved, appearing on the giant's shoulder. As the giant's footsteps moved, they quickly headed toward the building complex of the chosen immortal clan. Unexpectedly, after consuming a large number of immortal jades, not only did Tashin's body recover, but for some unknown reason, it actually grew stronger. Especially the heavenly ghost. If not for it, I fear it would have failed during the second phase. As Wang Lin stood on the giant's shoulder, his eyes filled with contemplation. Twice the immortal guards succeeded, both times incorporating the heavenly ghost. I wonder if there's a connection here. Could it be that the heavenly ghost increases the chances of success? As Wang Lin pondered, the giant below him quickened his pace, moving so fast that with each step, he covered several tens of meters, like a storm, charging forward. Also, the skulls of the Immortal Remnant clan's ancestors are peculiar. When merged, they actually fused together to form a single rune. In the distance, the chosen Immortal clan members arrived, all of them staring in shock at the giant, particularly the elder, who was filled with excitement. He quickly flew over and stammered, "Tashin." The giant's expression was cold, and without even glancing at the elder, He halted in place, standing still under Wang Lin's command. Wang Lin swiftly descended to the ground. Benefactor, Tashin, he. I already said, after the process, whether his mind recovers, I can't be sure. Perhaps over time, there will be some improvement. Wang Lin said calmly. He wasn't lying. Tashin's mind hadn't been erased, but rather shattered and stored within the immortal guard's body. The elder was momentarily stunned, about to continue his inquiry, when Wang Lin interrupted him. He had already lingered here far too long. Open the altar gate. I need to leave. Wang Lin's tone was resolute and left no room for argument. The elder stared blankly at Pagoda Mountain for a moment, then withdrew his gaze and nodded respectfully. Wang Lin stepped forward, heading straight for the altar entrance. Along the way, he stored the thunder frog and mosquito beast into his storage pouch. Pagoda Mountain followed closely behind, and the elder sighed quietly before also flying after them. Behind them, all members of the chosen immortal clan followed suit. As they passed the buildings, many women and children emerged from the rooms, joining the clan's ranks as they made their way toward the altar. Soon, Wang Lin's figure appeared at the altar's exterior. Without waiting for his command, the elder stepped forward, forming hand seals. The brow plant on his forehead flickered, transforming into a seal that flew toward and landed on the great door. With a thunderous rumble, the door slowly began to rise, and moments later, it was fully open. At the exact moment the door opened, a sharp, piercing sound suddenly emanated from within. The sound was so shrill that it seemed as if 100 sharp swords were launching out. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. With a tap of his storage pouch, 3 purple pennants flew out, spinning rapidly around him to form a purple vortex. As soon as the sharp sound entered the vortex, it was immediately shattered and dispersed. Pagoda Mountain, destroy the spirit, Wang Lin commanded in a low voice. Pagoda Mountain's eyes burst with golden light as he took a step forward and charged straight into the door. His expression was cold. Upon entering, he threw a punch with devastating power. This blow was far stronger than any he had delivered before he became an immortal guard. The punch created a series of loud explosions, turning into sonic booms that reverberated throughout the passage inside the door. The scattered black mist within the passage seemed to be swept away by a violent wind, retreating rapidly. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with cold light. This time, he was fully determined. No matter what, he would leave. As he moved, his body became a flash of lightning, charging into the door and racing down the passage ahead. The chosen immortal clan members followed one by one, their eyes filled with resolve. Moments later, Wang Lin reached the end of the passage, where the profound ink cauldron was located. Upon arrival, his gaze immediately fixed on a misty female phantom that was rapidly swirling around Pagoda Mountain. The phantom let out a series of piercing shrieks, like a whirlwind of mist. Pagoda Mountain remained unaffected. As an immortal guard, his essence spirit had long merged with his physical body. The sharp sounds didn't bother him in the slightest. Even if the sound could harm his body, his physical strength made it irrelevant. As for Wang Lin, his essence spirit was protected by the ancient god leather armor. The sharp shriek waves that could harm his essence spirit collapsed as soon as they made contact. The female phantom, now noticing Wang Lin, abandoned Pagoda Mountain and charged toward him. Even before it reached him, the storm-like shrieks battered at him, as though trying to tear him apart. Wang Lin sneered. With a hand seal, the 3 pennants around him flew out, forming a large purple vortex that clashed with the incoming sound waves. At the same time, Wang Lin took a step back and arrived at the profound ink cauldron. Pagoda Mountain followed suit, his intentions synchronized with Wang Lin's. As he approached, he raised his fist and struck the cauldron. This punch was the most devastating attack Pagoda Mountain had unleashed since becoming an immortal guard. Although he had gained immortality, his long-held hatred for the profound ink cauldron erupted with this blow. The complex runes on his forehead flared to life, transforming and merging with his fist. The punch carried with it a magical fluctuation. With a tremendous crash, the force was so powerful that debris and dust rained down, as if the entire altar were about to collapse. The cauldron cracked with loud, snapping sounds, spiderweb-like fractures spreading across its surface. At that moment, the female phantom, still surrounded by the purple vortex, began to screech furiously. She disregarded everything and charged toward them, intent on stopping them. Pagoda Mountain, without hesitation, threw another punch after his first landed. With a thunderous bang, the profound ink cauldron shattered, breaking into countless pieces. A massive dense black energy surged out, expanding in a circular shape before rapidly contracting and vanishing through the small teleportation array inside, as if being sucked in. Along with the black energy, the phantom that had bypassed the purple vortex was also sucked in. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with determination. Without hesitation, he stepped onto the formation and called out, "Su Ligua, come back now." Among the chosen Immortal clan members who had followed, one person shuddered. A massive black energy shot from his forehead, transforming into Su Ligua's figure. With a nostalgic glance, he immediately flew toward Wang Lin. After Wang Lin, Tom Mountain stepped forward as well, vanishing without a trace. The surroundings fell into silence, with only large amounts of dust falling from above, clearly signaling that the altar was on the verge of collapse. The ancestral elder of the chosen Immortal clan turned around and glanced at the many clansmen behind him. Suddenly, he raised his foot and stepped into the teleportation portal, disappearing. One by one, all the clansmen followed, stepping into the formation. They were leaving the place they had lived and protected for generations. Within the netherworld beast's body, in an area of pure darkness, a vast formation lay in the void. This formation was crafted using dark red blood, suspended in the void, releasing waves of black gas from the blood. The gas entered the crystal coffin at the center of the formation. Inside this coffin lay a corpse, a man, handsome in appearance, seeming to be in his 20s, lying in the coffin as though asleep. The black gas drawn from the formation continuously merged into the coffin, absorbed by the man within. In the void outside the formation, a figure was seated cross-legged. Dressed in black robes, his large attire completely wrapped around his body, leaving only his head visible. He sat with his eyes closed, as if he had been guarding the crystal coffin in this formation for eternity. At this moment, the black-robed man suddenly opened his eyes, staring intently at the distance, murmuring to himself, "As expected, they've come. It's a pity that my current strength can't destroy the formation. If I could, I wouldn't have to worry." His gaze flashed, and a black light flickered around him. Moments later, a phantom figure flew out from between his brows, landing 10 yards away, and taking the form of a human figure. The figure slowly solidified, becoming an exact replica of the black-robed man. The clone opened its eyes, waved its right hand, and immediately a blue robe appeared on its body. It moved slightly before rushing off toward the distance. The black-robed man did not stop but cast another spell. Moments later, another clone appeared, and then another, until there were 5 in total, all charging toward the distance. Far off, tens of thousands of miles away, a brilliant multicolored light formed a massive vortex. Wang Lin's figure stepped out of it, followed by Su Ligua, floating like a wandering soul, circling around him. Tom Mountain quickly followed, also stepping out of the vortex. A moment later, members of the chosen Immortal clan began appearing from the vortex, one by one. Wang Lin's expression was calm as his divine sense spread out. He moved forward in an instant but immediately paused, his eyes narrowing. Ahead, a figure was flying toward him at high speed. It was the blue-robed clone. So, the one I killed earlier was just a clone. Wang Lin realized the moment he saw the figure. Without hesitation, he made a swift mental command, and Tom Mountain stepped forward, charging toward the blue-robed figure with a fist. The blue-robed clone's expression darkened, and he formed a hand seal. A flash of crystal light appeared, and a long spear materialized in his hand. With a single gesture, the spear flew toward Tom Mountain. At that moment, 4 figures appeared in the distance, rushing toward the scene like rainbow streaks. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and his body blurred as he moved. At the same time, he pointed forward, and the beast bone design on his hand began to stir, transforming into reality. Master's mother and Sundao withered. As soon as the 5 clones saw the beast bone, they all cried out in unison, their eyes filled with shock and disbelief. In that instant, even the black-robed figure tens of thousands of miles away exploded with a flash of brilliance in his eyes. As the dark light flickered and murderous energy spread, a protective barrier appeared around the 5 clones. Within moments, the barrier turned gray and began to petrify. But even as the petrification completed, cracks appeared on the barrier, and with a loud crash, it shattered. The 5 clones' faces turned pale, their eyes filled with intense fear. Without hesitation, they immediately retreated, flying toward the distance. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. He moved forward and vanished from his original spot, reappearing next to one of the clones. Without delay, Wang Lin opened his mouth and expelled a beam of golden light. Inside the golden light was a 3-inch seal. The moment it appeared, it expanded, growing into a massive Tinjong-sized imprint that slammed toward the clone in front of Wang Lin. The force behind the Tinjong seal was overwhelming, as if time itself had frozen. The clone's face turned pale as all of its strength was sealed the moment the imprint descended. At the same time, it felt as if it were facing the wrath of the heavens. With a tremendous crash, the seal landed, and a pain cry echoed. The clone's physical body collapsed, and as its divine soul attempted to flee, the golden light from the seal flared up once again, brightening with intensity, illuminating the surroundings for 1,000 yards, dazzlingly brilliant. It was as if, at that very moment, the great seal had become a sun. A terrible scream echoed from within the essence spirit. The person's essence spirit was instantly pierced by golden light, and a series of seals enveloped their entire body, making escape impossible. It was as though they were being absorbed, drawn directly into the great seal, disappearing without a trace. Not far away, the other 4 clones were stunned. Just as they were about to retreat, Wang Lin grabbed the great seal and, without hesitation, pursued them relentlessly. The 4 clones fled swiftly, but moments later, Wang Lin's gaze flickered. He stopped, a cold smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. Trying to lead me astray, he abandoned the chase, instead sitting cross-legged in the void. Pagoda Mountain materialized, surrounding him with a protective shield. Wang Lin closed his eyes, his divine sense expanding and radiating, constantly reverberating through the surroundings. After a few moments, he suddenly opened his eyes and darted toward a particular direction. At that moment, the 4 distant essence spirits changed their trajectory and charged toward Wang Lin. One of them, moving fastest, showed a decisive look in its eyes as it neared 1,000 feet from Wang Lin. Suddenly, it burned both its essence spirit and physical body, causing its cultivation to surge crazily. Its speed multiplied by several times. In the blink of an eye, it closed in on Wang Lin, only 10 feet away, and exploded with a thunderous crash. The self-detonation of this peak Yang fulfillment clone generated a massive shockwave, an annihilating force expanding wildly toward Wang Lin, sweeping across the space. In this critical moment, a crystal-like light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. His body rapidly retreated, and he slapped his storage pouch. 3 small flags shot out, quickly spinning and enveloping the area in purple radiance. At the same time, Wang Lin pulled out the river and mountains painting screen. With a single wave, the surroundings turned into a landscape painting, and the shockwave from the clone's self-detonation collided with the screen, causing it to twist and warp. While the force was partially neutralized, there was still a portion of it that broke through, as this was not the real river and mountains painting. The purple vortex of energy surrounding Wang Lin's body absorbed some of the detonation's power, but with a bang, a gap was formed. The destructive force surged through, slamming into Wang Lin, piercing through his physical body and heading straight for his essence spirit. Wang Lin's body retreated swiftly, his face pale, but his eyes gleamed with murderous intent. Thank goodness for the ancient god leather armor, or even if I didn't die, I'd certainly be severely wounded from this explosion. At this moment, the other 3 clones had closed in, their eyes filled with determination and ruthlessness. They too chose to self-destruct, their annihilating aura spreading as they charged toward Wang Lin. Clearly, they had no intention of stopping until Wang Lin was dead. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with a cold glint. He would never let the same thing happen again. Instead of retreating, he surged forward. With a pointed finger, the child mother Dao Hollow appeared beside him, its beast bone glowing with eerie light. Murderous aura immediately filled the space. One of the charging clones flashed gray light at its feet and rapidly petrified. Wang Lin's figure moved like lightning, appearing directly before the petrified clone. He formed a sword with 2 fingers and struck the clone's brow. It instantly shattered into countless pieces of stone. At this moment, the remaining 2 clones were nearly upon him, their self-detonation reaching its peak. They ignited. In the midst of the crisis, Wang Lin remained calm. With a flick of his right hand, the immortal art stasis was instantly activated. The other clone's body froze in place. At that moment, Pagoda Mountain leapt into action, instantly appearing beside the frozen clone, grabbing it and charging off into the distance. With a loud crash, the clone exploded. The immense shockwave hit Pagoda Mountain, who turned pale and staggered but withstood the blast. Having destroyed 2 clones' self-detonations, Wang Lin now faced the final one, whose body was torn apart by the insane energy inside, creating a violent storm that raced toward Wang Lin. At this moment, the immortal sealing seal, controlled by Wang Lin, descended. In an instant, it expanded to 100 feet in size, standing vertically before Wang Lin, like a colossal shield. A thunderous roar echoed as the explosion's shockwave struck the massive fragments of the seal. The force was unimaginable. Wang Lin's body was pushed back with the fragments, retreating more than 30 steps before finally halting. His killing intent was at its peak. After the destructive energy from the self-detonation had passed, Wang Lin, filled with a fierce killing intent, moved like a burning meteor, charging forward into the void. Behind him, Pagoda Mountain followed closely. The Child Mother Dao Hollow floated above him, while the immortal sealing seal followed below. The shockwave propelled them forward. After a brief moment, Wang Lin shot past the immense distance of tens of thousands of miles in an instant. Gradually, his eyes, filled with murderous intent, locked onto the vast formation ahead and the crystal coffin within it. He also noticed a black-clad figure outside the formation, their gaze dark and carrying a hint of shock. There was no wind in the void, but with the impact of the 100-foot immortal sealing seal, a furious wind began to surge. The wind stirred, and the wide sleeves of the black-clad figure fluttered. Wang Lin's pupil shrank as he clearly saw that beneath the black robe, there were only cold, exposed bones. This black-clad figure, apart from its head, was entirely made of bones. As soon as the dark radiance erupted, it immediately transformed into a short sword, screeching as it flew straight toward Wang Lin. The black-clad figure's lips did not stop, muttering silently. With every word, a beam of black light shot out from between its brows, each one morphing into a short sword. In an instant, more than 10 short swords appeared, all whistling toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin remained motionless, and in his eyes, the black-clad figure's cultivation was profound, far beyond that of the yin-yang void realm. However, it was clear that this person's entire body, aside from the head, was made of bones. This meant that even with great cultivation, their full strength could not be brought to bear. Wang Lin's expression was calm. The cultivation this black-clad figure could muster at this moment could not exceed the early glimpse of Nirvana stage. As the short swords whistled toward him, Wang Lin's thoughts stirred. The immortal guard Pagoda Mountain behind him leaped out. The previous injuries were nothing to him. His eyes gleamed with golden light, and as his body radiated a rich golden glow, he stepped forward and threw a punch. With that punch, a vortex appeared, immediately pulling the short swords in. But despite the shrill sound of the blades, they broke free, like snakes, and struck at Pagoda Mountain. Bang! Bang! The sound echoed. Pagoda Mountain's expression was icy as it swung its fists. Every time its fist struck the short swords, the blades were sent flying. Even if a sword dodged and pierced the body, it couldn't cause serious harm. Wang Lin's eyes flickered, and his body lunged forward. He pointed toward the sky, and immediately, the sub-other Dao Ku from behind him lit up, with its eerie glow shining. It flew towards the black-clad figure. At the same time as the beast bone's eerie eyes glowed, a dense murderous aura spread rapidly in the surroundings. In an instant, the black-clad figure's body began to emit a grayish light. The black-clad figure's eyes revealed a complex expression. He sighed deeply, almost as if speaking to himself. It's been many years since I've seen the master's treasure. Beneath the black robe, he raised a bony hand. The exposed bones looked terrifying as he formed a seal with his fingers. Immediately, the gray light spreading across his body halted. Instead of continuing to spread, it quickly receded and disappeared entirely. As the gray light vanished, the black-clad figure's lips moved again. A white light shot out from his brow, transforming into a white feathered fan. The fan flapped, and a sudden gust of wind surged forth, accompanied by thunderous roars. Within moments, a violent thunderstorm formed, charging toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin remained calm. He raised his right hand and pointed toward the sky. Immediately, the immortal sealing seal behind him flew up, smashing down from above, releasing a strange sealing power that shot straight toward the black-clad figure. At the same time, Wang Lin took a step back. As the thunderstorm neared, his brow flickered with the image of the primordial thunder dragon's essence spirit. It opened its mouth and devoured the storm with a ferocious bite. Boom! The thunderclaps echoed as Wang Lin's body retreated once again. The storm was entirely consumed by his essence spirit, and when it returned to his body, his complexion became slightly flushed, his entire form crackling with thunder as arcs of electricity scattered around him. At this moment, the black-clad figure's expression grew grim. Above him, the immortal sealing seal descended like divine punishment, as if it would crush the earth itself. Loud thuds echoed beneath his robe. His face twisted into a snarl as he moved. With both hands, he formed a seal and raised them, shouting, 10 dragons supporting heaven. At the moment the black-clad figure lifted his hands, strange powers began to wildly gather in the surrounding void, coalescing into smoke like wisps. These forces gathered as though a vortex were pulling them toward his hands. In the blink of an eye, the gathered energy converged in his palms. The black-clad figure's face twisted into a savage expression. With a violent thrust, he slammed his hands upward. A deafening boom rang through the air, and the sound spread far and wide. The members of the chosen immortal clan, rushing from a distance, froze in place. Their bodies trembled, as if struck by a wave, and many were sent retreating. Some of the weaker cultivators even began bleeding from their orifices. The immortal sealing seal shook, and its descent slowed abruptly. The black-clad figure's face grew pale. As soon as Wang Lin halted his retreat, he shot forward, slapping his storage pouch. The immortal sword appeared in his hand, and without hesitation, Wang Lin swung it down, severing Luo art. The black-clad figure's eyes narrowed, and immediately, black light gathered in his gaze. As the severing Luo art approached, two beams of black light shot out from his eyes, directly striking the incoming attack. Boom! With a loud sound, the power of the severing Luo art dissipated. Is this all the cultivation you have? You don't even have the strength to move my position. If that's truly the case, then you're not worthy of possessing my master's immortal treasure. The man in black spoke with a hoarse voice, his words laced with a chilling coldness. Wang Lin's expression remained calm as he fixed his gaze on the man in black. With a flick of his right hand, he pointed to the sky and murmured softly, "Seal release." The immortal sealing seal in the sky immediately emitted a series of cracking sounds. A beam of golden light shot out, quickly followed by another, and in the blink of an eye, numerous beams of golden light flickered furiously. In an instant, the previously dim golden light of the immortal sealing seal transformed into a radiance that blazed like a sun hanging in the void. An overwhelming pressure surged, rapidly filling the air. On the immortal sealing seal, golden runes began to shimmer and flicker, so many that they numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Fall. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with a cold light as he spoke these words, his voice barely a whisper. In the next moment, the immortal sealing seal crashed down with a thunderous boom. No divine ability, no force could stop its descent. Its speed was so fast, it felt as though the very sky was collapsing. The man in black's expression changed dramatically. Raising both hands, he shouted loudly, "10 dragons supporting heaven." As he did, a black radiance erupted from his brow, and 10 black dragons materialized. Their tails were connected to the man's forehead, and as they scattered, the roar of the dragons echoed through the air. The 10 dragons seemed to go mad, charging at the falling immortal sealing seal, relentlessly colliding with it. Bang! 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 The ground-shaking sounds of the dragons crashing against the immortal sealing seal reverberated through the surroundings. Despite their furious attempts, the black dragons could not stop the seal's descent. With each collision, the black dragons were violently thrown back, their bodies crashing into the void. By the end, the dragons were roaring even louder, their bodies relentlessly crashing into the seal. But still, the immortal sealing seal did not falter. As the seal was about to crash down completely, only 10 paces above the man in black, his face darkened. Suddenly, he rose to his feet. This was the first time in countless millennia that he had stood. His black robe billowed out, completely enveloping his body, as though he had become one with the darkness. Only his head remained visible, his black hair rising with the force of his movement, his eyes gleaming with cold fury. He snorted coldly, then floated forward, attempting to escape the impending crash of the immortal sealing seal. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with murderous intent. The moment the man in black tried to leave, Wang Lin's voice rang out coldly, "Seal." The golden light on the immortal sealing seal suddenly vanished, retracting back in on itself. The world around them darkened, but just as quickly, an even more intense golden light erupted once again. Golden runes appeared on the immortal sealing seal, endless in number. They spread rapidly, and in an instant, the entire area within 1,000 paces was covered with golden runes. The man in black's expression turned even darker. He raised his foot to step forward, but immediately, the golden runes around him contracted and began to converge on his body. At that moment, the entire area within 1,000 paces was bathed in a blinding golden light. The runes surged toward him, forming a layer of gold around him that continuously sealed him in place. For the first time, the man in black's eyes showed fear. He looked up sharply at the immortal sealing seal, and as the runes around his body intensified, he revealed a look of determination. The 10 black dragons extending from his brow roared violently, their bodies radiating a piercing black light. A destructive force began to spread, and the man in black shouted, "10 dragons shattering void." One of the black dragons, its body engulfed in dark light, was torn apart by the force of its own destructive power, creating a vortex that exploded outward. Boom! The explosion of the black dragon caused the golden runes around the man to be pushed back. Just then, another black dragon exploded, followed by the other 8. The powerful shockwaves from the self-detonation of the 10 black dragons were unimaginable. The golden runes surrounding the man were all blown away, and even the immortal sealing seal in the sky was lifted by the blast. Wang Lin quickly retreated, while Pagoda Mountain, abandoning its battle with the short sword, stepped forward and spread its massive Tuzhong body to shield Wang Lin from the incoming shockwaves. The man in black's face turned pale as his body wavered, but he finally managed to step out from the area affected by the immortal sealing seal. What a powerful treasure! Even in the immortal realm, this treasure would have great renown. The man in black's gaze flickered. After stepping outside the range of the immortal sealing seal, he darted toward the sky, aiming straight for the seal. Amidst the shockwaves from the 10 dragons' explosions, Pagoda Mountain spurted a mouthful of blood, his expression darkening slightly. Wang Lin stepped out from behind Pagoda Mountain, his eyes filled with murderous intent. Holding the immortal sword, he transformed into a streak of lightning, charging straight toward the man in black. He moved with incredible speed. As he charged forward, the immortal sword rose and slashed 10 times in rapid succession. The 10 strikes of the severing Luo art merged into one, erupting in an instant as it shot straight toward the man in black.